Pretend we're in my basement. It's okay.
How many fingers am I holding up?
I don't know. They're up my bumhole.
Oh my god.
It's only gay when you.
Is
you
the
get
stream
single
working?
homo.
I don't know. There's a fucking like 60-minute God of War ad.
I see nothing wrong with this.
God of War is a perfect game, as we know.
Yes, 10 out of 10 means no flaws, except all the flaws that happen in a month from now. And they're like, you know what wasn't that great about that game? Breath of the Wild, 10 out of 10. But that weapon durability sucks, and there's no towns. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Durability sucks, and there's no towns. 10 out of 10. Did you figure it yet?
Yep, stream's working. No problem.
Okay.
So,
I see it streaming.
Colin, you got the intro?
Give me the countdown and I'll get ready.
And you got the agenda in front of you guys?
I do.
Yes, I do.
Your
Okay.
agenda.
So 3, 2, 1 in 10 seconds.
Yep, as usual.
Who's counting?
3, 2, 1, go.
Your man, now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me, but if he stopped being a responsible adult and started hosting on the Red Leaf Retrocast, he could be as awesome as me. Look down, back up again. Where are you? You're on the internet with the man your man could be like. What's in your hand? Back to me.
Oh my
I have
God.
a set of tickets to video games live. Look again, the tickets are now video games with female protagonists. Anything is possible when your man hosts on the Red Leaf Retrocast. I'm on Discord.
Well done.
If I looked down and I saw a female protagonist in my hands, I'd have so many questions. Along with the cops, I would imagine. Boobs.
Wow. All right, Colin. You did it. You did an amazing job. I'm proud of you. You made me chuckle a couple times there.
Did you write that down or did you memorize that?
This came to me during Japanese class on Saturday, and I was like, this is perfect.
Yes.
When I'm learning foreign languages, I also like to remember and think of banter for podcasting.
Well, remember I did it completely off the cuff during our Sonic 2 playthrough on
I do remember.
Spiel?
I do remember.
Moosen
What
Spiel?
inspired it?
Oh,
Yeah.
well. Welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. This is episode 19. Woo! Female protagonist, the guy who came up with the theme, cannot be here. Something came up. That would have been Josh, who made it last episode. But of course, now he's missing again. The cardboard cutout of Console Kev is no longer cardboard. It is a real person. Hi, Kevin.
I was a what now?
You're a cardboard cutout.
You're downgrading me to cardboard? I demand porcelain.
No, you gotta be as good as Nintendo, so you're cardboard.
Absolutely not! Don't do this!
Boy.
I'm better than that.
If you want to find where else the podcast is, we are now streaming on Twitch, because this is episode 51 in total. We reached a milestone, guys.
Hey!
I'm dabbing, but nobody can see.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
Yeah, dabbing is cool. It's in now.
Well, dabbing is not in, and I hope it dies faster.
Well, you could shut up and be wrong.
You can follow us all on our various Twitters. Bowling JD is the one where the Red Leaf Retrocast is mostly advertised at, and you can find future episodes, what games we're going to cover. You can also follow us on Instagram for the same reasons, but we get like screenshots and shit there. I might post something there exclusively, so haha.
All right.
I believe you mean ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. You know, pull some Dexter's Lab out in here. So we are covering female protagonists, but first, how's everyone doing?
Colin first.
Colin
I
first.
am absolutely fantastic. It's been quite a busy few weeks since the last podcast, but a lot has happened. Job has been extremely busy because we've got an audit coming up where I'm working.
Sure.
There's been a bit of overtime there, but I've been watching more anime, playing more games, Vision of Escaflowne is finally on Crunchyroll, and where's this show been all my life?
Dude, telling you. It's a good show.
It's even more amazing that it came out in 96. I mean, it's aged really well.
I think in Japan, no. I think you're wrong on that.
Well,
I'm gonna have to. I'm pretty sure it was like 99. Vision
90s
of.
anyway.
Oh, you're right. It is 1996. Holy crap!
Eat shit, JD.
Wow. All right, Colin. I'll eat crow. You're right. How foolish of me to disagree with you. But I shall do it again later. I'm sure.
I've also been watching Food Wars, and My Hero Academia Season 3 has finally begun, so gonna be fun.
Man, where were you on the anime cast that we recorded this afternoon?
Pads for lots of pilots.
I want to know what games you've been playing. Have
Well,
you been
just
playing any games that aren't podcast related? Podcast? Podcast.
Well, I finally completed Horizon Zero Dawn.
Good man. Good man. Good ending.
If-
Epic ending.
Oh yeah,
I quite
and
like
with
it.
room for a sequel.
Well, there is room. There is room. A lot of people didn't like that it left room open for a sequel, and I'm like, why? It's a video game. If it doesn't, then it's lame.
Solid reasoning there. Nice.
I know, right? I mean, argue that.
Yeah, well, you're stupid. No, you.
No, you went there? Touche. Kevin, what have you been doing? What you been playing? You been watching stuffs? I don't know. Tell me.
I don't watch.
One
the
other-
only thing I've been watching. Oh, Colin, go. Cut him off.
Another awesome thing that happened over the past couple of days. I went to Video Games Live on Friday night with a friend of mine, and it was awesome.
Video Games Live? What's that?
It's like a big orchestra concert.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I went to the Zelda one that was in Toronto like a year and a half ago.
Well, this one is like all sorts of different games. I mean, this time they played a bunch of Mega Man music, a bunch of Shadow of the Colossus, World of Warcraft.
All shitty games no one's ever heard of, obviously.
But the real highlight was the encore. They started playing Pokemon music. They actually brought out Jason Page to sing the original American opening of Pokemon.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, I guess he needs money.
For those who don't know, wow, Jason Page is the guy who sang the original Pokemon opening. So
He must
Somebody
really
got
need money.
credit for that. Like somebody wanted to take credit for being like, this is the thing that defines me.
I sang about these monster creatures from Japan. One time.
I wanna be the very best. I was gonna start, but I won't.
Oh, you're okay. Well, Kevin, I'm cutting you off, Colin. Gotta do it.
Fuck.
I had to say.
Kevin, what's up?
Yes. Well, other than watching tons of WWE because I've become that person now. And TNA, but
You've joined me.
yeah, I don't know. It all started watching like a bunch of like what culture wrestling videos and that like spawned, and I was like, I don't know why I'm watching this. I don't care about pro wrestling. Like I should care about pro wrestling, I guess.
You should
So,
you should watch Cultaholic instead. They're better.
I watch them both. I don't know. I've kind of been doing that. Played a little 2K18 for wrestling. It's okay.
Ugh.
It's got issues, but
It's got
For the-
issues. That game is
it's-
broken.
for the only one I've played in 10 years, it's fine.
Play the one 10 years ago. It's better.
Well, yeah. Well, because you can actually All Stars is the best one. Actually, you know what? I have WrestleMania the arcade game on PS1. That might be worth playing. I did a major feat this weekend. I've beaten Persona 5.
Oh,
Nice.
That game is magical. Other than the fact that I accidentally made the wrong girl waifu, that's fine.
wait a minute.
Did
Wait a
it-
minute. I got something for you. You beat
Uh-oh.
Persona 5?
Yes. Well, that's the wrong jingle, but all right.
What is the right jingle then?
Jazzy, upbeat music. But whatever. However, speaking of which, I'm glad you brought that up. for those of you who don't know, I run a game of the month club, and we have a game of the quarter. Oh, by the way, it's called Game Clubs. Anyway, our game of the quarter is Final Fantasy 13, which the big complaint I heard about that game was that it's way too linear. But Final Fantasy 10 was pretty linear. So I was like, maybe people are overreacting. And then I played 2 hours, like, this game's a piece of shit. I need to throw it out the window.
I actually heard a very good comparison there.
What's that?
Between 10 and 13. They're both linear, but Final Fantasy 13 is a straw, whereas Final Fantasy 10 is a silly straw.
That's fine, yeah. I accept that, because 13 is literally...
I can see that.
Yeah, it's walk up, and, like, there was no attack button. There was only auto battle. I was like, what? Like...
It's very different.
Oh, it's so bad. And I was like, okay, like, maybe this is, like, the prologue. Like, maybe something's going to happen later. And, like, it didn't. Every scene was just snow or lightning running up a hallway and, like, barely contributing to the battle. And, like, 2 hours in, I was like, I got to ask
it's more of a experience than the journey, which was always the way the past Final Fantasies did it. It was very off-putting. I've gone back and played it in a different sort of mindset and looking at it in a different light, and it's not as viscerally bad as everyone says it is. I quite enjoy it for just a story unfolding rather than it's more of that than, say, a game being played, if that makes any sense.
I get it. It's just like I don't know. I'm not here to watch a movie and barely contribute. You know?
Yeah, you have to be in a specific kind of mood to want to play a game like that.
Yeah, so I think I want to put that down. And with my limited time of it, I don't understand how Square Enix is like, we should make 2 more of these. And I'm like, no,
dude, they sold the hell out of them.
Yeah, and
like people love them. The fan base was there. Japan absolutely loves the game.
Yeah, that's fine. Ain't for me.
I have all 3.
You can have my 1 and 2 because I'm not going to play them. What else?
I rather like Lightning Returns. I rather like that one. It has this time limit element in the game.
Yeah, I'm never going to get to it, so let me know how it goes. And then, what did I beat today? Oh, Blaster Master Zero. I beat on Switch. So,
cool.
Of the 3 Switch games I have, I beat 2 of them now. So there's that. Because I don't know what else I want for it. It's kind of an issue. But slowly I'll find things to play on it.
More games will come out. Don't you worry. It's
just that like they're always the most expensive version, and I'm like, I don't want to pay twice the price for the Switch version. So, you know, I'll figure it out. And then of that, I'm playing Shantae on PSP because it's Fire Emblem.
You're still at that one?
Oh, I love this game. It's fun. Good game. 10 out of 10. Not really, but it's good. If you want a game that don't invest in anybody, because people will come and go from your party all the time. And you're like, I don't know who to fucking grind up. I quit. I spent all my time grinding one character, and they're like, I don't like you anymore. And they left. And then like 3 missions later, like, okay, I'm bad on my own. I need you guys. So, a good little game. Look into it.
Yeah, I know what the game's about. It's definitely not bad by any means. No, it's a fun experience. And if you're watching the Twitch stream right now, you can see a little gameplay view of the game going on. So
me playing IRL.
I got Ni no Kuni 2. I've been playing the fuck out of that game.
Ooh.
It's easier than I'd want it to be, but it's a very relaxing experience of a game. It's what Xenoblade Chronicles should have been. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 should have been.
What you mean?
So, anime style with better characters, not cringe, good voice acting as opposed to the atrocities that the atrocious Xenoblade Chronicles atrociously put in.
So you would say it's mixed at best. Got it.
Okay. The battle system is more engaging, I think, than Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and it was a lot more simple to pick up. There is this world building element in both games, more useful to actually do it in Ni no Kuni 2 as opposed to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So a lot of both games mirror each other, but Ni no Kuni 2's does everything better, and its art style doesn't look like this hazy mess that kind of Xenoblade had on the Switch, since it's on the PS4. But it's much easier than Xenoblade. There aren't like crazy skill gaps or random level 72 enemies in the tutorial area. You know.
That sounds awesome. Game comes right off the bat, tells you this isn't about fucking handouts, kid. You gotta earn your shit.
Oh man. But yeah, it's a fun game. It knows exactly what it wants to be. It knows what its goal is. It's more for a relaxing experience than a challenging one. Whether you find that negative is up to you.
I do.
Yep. So we got some news to get to, unless you guys got something else you want to say.
No.
No? Well, all right. Let's get to the news.
What is this?
I like the reaction so far. I take it you've never played an Alex Kidd game before?
No, I've heard the jingle. I'm just very confused why he's around me right now.
Oh.
Very briefly at your place, JD.
Which one did we play again? I don't remember which one we played. It couldn't have been the one that makes you die, like falling down a ladder. Because that game's a stress test, if I've ever had one. Alright, so the Sega FES 2018 happened. Basically a Sega convention. And there was a few notable things that came out of it. Yep, Sega! Fuck, I should have had that as the news drop, shouldn't I?
Look how much you fucked up.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, Alex Kidd is Sega? What am I saying? That's perfect.
Yeah, the most relevant Sega character, Alex Kidd.
Well, the Sega Ages collection was announced for the Switch, not confirmed in North America. I imagine it'll eventually come out. And 3 games were announced for it, such as Sonic the Hedgehog, Thunder Force,
yes.
4, and Phantasy Star. So fun news there. Typical Sega releasing a compilation of their past games on the newest console. I don't think it's anything new.
Before.
Say again, Kevin?
They never did that before.
No, never, right? No.
First, we're making history here, people.
Yeah. One comment I've been seeing floating around is the expectation that they'll revamp and upgrade these games that will be released for it, such as what happened with the PS2 Sega Genesis collection or Sega collection. You know how they revamped Golden Axe and Alien Syndrome, a game we actually covered on the cast. I think that was the first episode too. Space.
All those beautiful sprites ruined by polygons.
I don't expect they'll do this at all.
Yeah, it costs money.
Exactly, and they're gonna make money just releasing the game on the Switch just as is. Colin, what do you think?
I don't know. I didn't have a chance to really look at the news for this. Like I said, I've been an extremely busy guy. But...
Well, based on Sega's history, do you expect they'll revamp the games? Do you want them to revamp the games?
I mean, Sonic Mania was a really nice revamp, but...
Well, that was a new game. These are the same games coming out again.
I've never played any Thunder Force or Phantasy Star, so I can't really weigh in on that. But if they're making it like accessible for a modern audience to like get a piece of Sega history, then I think it'd be pretty cool. As long as they don't try to make it into 3D, give everybody a sword like Sonic.
No. Well, anyways, let's move on. They announced the Mega Drive / Genesis Mini. No games were shown that are going to be on it, and it will be made by At Games.
Yes, 10 out of 10. NES killer. Fuck you, SNES Mini.
Yeah, Sega's releasing this. Again, no surprise, but people are going to go nuts for it. They're going to buy the shit out of this.
I'm going to disagree on this one.
Really?
Because, look, At Games has been shitting out the same fucking Genesis clone mini console over and over and over with the same shitty controllers, and I don't understand why people are like, oh my god, this one's gonna be great, and then it's not. It's gonna be the same shitty one over and over. Like, Sega, you couldn't even be bothered to make it. Like, come on, it's not. I don't understand how you get emulation right when my phone can do it. Gonna be bad.
So for those that don't know, At Games is a notorious plug-and-play maker, and they half-ass a lot of things. What they're most notable for is having this plug-and-play version of Sonic the Hedgehog, and the audio is atrocious. It's sort of the Sonic Hedgehog tune, but it's pitches lower. It's super deep. So imagine the Sega is now Sega.
It's pretty shitty.
Shit like that. It's but yeah, as Kevin stated, they're not good.
They're not.
I still think it'll sell. I still think because the retro gaming community is insane these days, and the nostalgia value was there for the NES and the SNES Mini. It will be there for this as well.
Unfortunately,
Colin,
there's actually a Review Tech USA video where he actually reviews that Genesis flashback by At Games, and he did not like it. And the things he brought up was that the thing was really, really light. Like, in his words, he could fart and it would fly across the room.
Oh no. See, people complain about the At Games systems all the time, and yet they still fucking buy them.
Really?
Is it just the insanity of retro gaming?
Or the growing pains? I guess it might take a while for some people to wise up.
So, the last... What's up, Colin?
Colors, at the very least. Everything else about it was just... He did not like it. There's, like, way too many glitches in the games.
Oh, yeah, Castlevania Bloodlines. Yeah, sorry.
For the Castlevania game, it was built into the system. It was right before getting to Dracula, the game would just freeze. And basically couldn't beat the game.
Oh, no. Problems. Well, the last bit of news was finally something super positive and new and somewhat unexpected, and that's the announcement of Shenmue 1 and 2 HD will be coming to the PS4, Xbox, and PC. How about that?
I've been curious to play Shenmue for a while, but never could get around to it, partly because I don't have a Dreamcast.
Yeah, and Shenmue 2 in the West only came out on the Xbox, the original. So, hooray load times. But yeah, I think this is a really smart move. I kind of expected it, but I wasn't hearing any announcements for it, so this is pleasant news. What a way to really get the hype up for Shenmue 3, especially if you were afraid that people weren't gonna buy it or play it because they hadn't played the first two.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is just a smart move on their part to port it. Kevin, are you interested now in the Shenmues?
Absolutely zero interest in Shenmue.
And why is that? Are you just a hater of games? Are you drinking
Yep,
haterade?
I drank a monster. Shenmue looks boring as shit to me. I'm sorry.
Oh man, you're a horrible person.
I just saying from what I've seen. I've never played it. I'm saying that it just does not. It looks way too slow paced for me. That's all I'm saying.
Ugh.
I don't know. I can make noises too.
Oh no. Well, that's that. I mean, it's not much news that came out, but a lot of people are hyped for the Shenmue's coming out. I really enjoyed the first game. I'm definitely gonna have to go back, pop open the Dreamcast and play it some more. It's been too long. Shenmue 2, I haven't finished actually. I only got about halfway, and then I just got distracted with life stuffs, as one does. So before I play the third, and I don't expect the third one's gonna come out until 2020 anyways, so I got plenty of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're fine.
I can hear you. I couldn't hear you guys for like 20 whole seconds. I thought I died.
Oh. Well, okay.
Pretend nothing happened.
Yeah, it's a cool little redemption story, guy out for revenge kind of thing. I do vaguely remember the first game coming with an extra disc of just the cutscenes.
That's weird.
Yeah, so you could just watch the movie scenes unfold in front of you in the Dreamcast graphics. All right. Well, if nobody has anything else to say, I got a fun little topic lined up.
You're pregnant, yeah.
Well, actually, it is the rise of female protagonists in gaming.
Oh, I should have done
Yay! I'm having fun with that.
You're going to get very carried away.
Well, no, come on. Give me a break.
You need that on there.
I'm not getting the frickin' DJ Z horn.
Alright, so me and Josh will handle that. Got it.
Oh, you're gonna hurt the thing I'm having fun with.
Exactly. Life is pain.
Well, all right. So, in most recent years, especially last year in 2017, we saw a drastic rise in female protagonists in gaming. And I put in the agenda just certain examples that just popped into my head. Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, Senua from my personal favorite game of the year last year, which was Hellblade, 2B from Nier, Chloe and Nadine in the Uncharted series, Aiden Versio from the Star Wars Battlefront game of all things. And then we've even seen many strong side female characters just kind of amplify games up even more. We saw it in Assassin's Creed Oranges.
That joke.
Yeah, Ass Creed Oranges, and Persona 5 especially, a game Kevin you might know a thing or two about right now.
Makoto is best girl.
Oh, you're about to join the anime world with that kind of language.
Absolutely not.
You already joined wrestling. It's a matter of time. Wrestling and anime are the same thing.
Shut your mouth, you weirdo weebs.
Join us.
Kevin, what were you? I gotta ask before we go into this. What were your thoughts over the main event of WrestleMania?
It happened. Like I will say I'm kind of shocked they didn't let Roman Reigns win, but I also heard backstage Brock was pissed after the show. He was pissed. People were booing and not caring about the match at all. But at the same time, what the fuck did you expect, Brock?
I like how you've just gotten into it and you're like, come on, even I know this thing.
I want to like Roman Reigns because this is gonna get real homo right. I think he's a attractive guy and he looks cool, but like he's just boring as fuck to watch.
Thank you.
And then Seth Rollins is there and he's way cooler.
There you go. Okay, so you've been watching it for like a week and you already have a better mindset.
Yep.
Okay, so back to female protagonists in gaming.
Right, Roman Reigns, go ahead.
Oh, stop. I hate you. So what do you think brought on this kind of revolution in just this increase in female protagonists and hard ass side characters and women looking badass and or just being at the forefront of gaming right now?
There's just been more demand for it lately, or at least the demand is more audible with the internet becoming such a household thing. Plus, there've been a number of really good female protagonists even before this year and last year. I mean, you got Jade from Beyond Good and Evil. You got every female protagonist in Persona 3 and 4. Where you get to play as 3 different women.
Mm-hmm.
And fantasy games as well. They tend to have some pretty good female protagonists.
Sure. I usually see the strong female characters in a lot of RPGs. Not so much in say action games. It wasn't until more or less the last decade where they started getting more and more prominent.
I think the Metroid Prime games had something to do with that.
Maybe. I wouldn't say Metroid was kind of the catalyst to it all. Would you?
Beating factor is what I'm saying.
I'll just put on some Persona 5 gameplay as we start talking.
Wait, I know a game really did it. I just gotta look at the name to make sure I get it right. Yes, Darkened Sky for GameCube is the game that set female protagonists ablaze, by the way.
You're gonna have to elaborate on that.
It is a game centered around collecting Skittles.
You've got to be kidding me.
By the way. No, it exists. It's a third-person action adventure developed by Boston Animation. Okay. Essentially, it was a game about like collecting Skittles. Like it was a bad Western RPG. And then, like, the Skittles deal ran through, so they just changed the cover art, but the whole game is about collecting Skittles. 10 out of 10.
That sounds like it's set gaming back 10 years.
Women's Revolution 2018.
Okay.
By the way, sorry, guys, my landlord's family is being noisy yet again.
That's fine.
Fight them.
So, I want to say a game like Bayonetta kind of was a catalyst. I mean, there's Beyond Good and Evil, but as the game got good reviews, it didn't sell very well. And then you know, Metroid, people knew Samus was female.
She is.
Or she is female, yeah, not was. It's 2018. Who knows? Maybe the next Metroid she'll have a sex change. I don't know.
Yeah. Progressiveness, am I right?
Be super progressive, make him a man. Oh, yeah. No.
I don't know. Awful. People have been calling for Link to be a woman in some Zelda games.
Yeah, those people could be wrong. That's fine.
What? Well, the game's called Zelda. Just make Zelda the main character for a game and have Link be the damsel in distress.
Absolutely.
I mean, if they could do it on the CDI, they can do it now.
Okay, now you've gone too far. I was with you for a little bit.
I'm just saying, if a shitty console and a shitty game could do it, then a good console and a good game can do it.
Hey, don't make fun of the Wii U.
What?
Oh, sorry. You were talking about the CDI. Whatever.
Oh no. I don't know. So when I just think about strong female characters and what brought on this, yes, it's Colin. You're absolutely right. It's definitely the times we live in. There's much more calling for it, but I also think it's more kind of, I hate to say it, but underlying reasons, as in a lot of people don't want the blank slate male protagonist anymore who's OP as shit. You want the character that's hot and attractive and can have panty shots, and hence Bayonetta.
Stonking great tits.
stonking great titties. You know, tig old bitties, you might say.
Yes.
I mean, shit, they turned the Fatal Frame franchise into a cosplay horror game.
Nice.
You know, it used to be just two creepy Japanese girls getting lost in a creepy Japanese village, and now it turned into like I said, the cosplay thing. You turn on a Resident Evil game, and now the Jill Valentine's booty goes on for days. You know, it's things like that. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's a driving factor into why people care and want to play the games. It's not so much. Not every game can be like a Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, where the whole game is centered around just this female character being an endearing story written character.
And of course, the existence of games like Dead or Alive and Senran Kagura, that kind of drives that point home.
Right, they're making a game for the Switch to use the HD Rumble to, well, so you can rub tits in video games on the Switch.
Nice.
Where do I find this game for research?
I believe it's coming out in 2019.
Yes, very good. Need to research.
Oh, there's a video of the game maker, like he's holding a silicone boob in one hand, right? And then he's like programming the HD Rumble as he's squeezing it to match the motion and feel.
Good. I'm glad people are really developing things that are important to society.
Boys. Oh man.
You know why there will never be a cure to certain diseases in this world? That guy.
I almost spit out my water.
Yeah, good. Make your computer crash. You just figured out how all this stuff works.
Oh boy.
But that's why I say like Bayonetta was the catalyst, because it's a sexy, powerful female with a batshit crazy story. Like what else is there? So then we get the I mean, not every game's gonna be Nadine and Chloe being badass women in the Uncharted universe. Let's be honest, they were better characters than Nathan Drake ever was.
No.
I can't believe we didn't mention Life is Strange at all.
Oh yeah, indie games I've noticed as well have a ton of female characters. Celeste just came out on the Switch in January. That's in the line for Game of the Year. It has, well, before God of War comes out, it was the best rated game of the year to date.
And heck, back in 2014, we got Freedom Planet, which is an all-female cast, basically.
Well, I mean, those are also animals.
Furries, man. You can't count them out. It's 2018.
But whatever.
The females come in all forms and sizes.
And species, apparently.
Yeah, it's just I don't want to be the bad guy here, but I also think I also get the feeling that there's this sense of obligation to create a game now with a female character. You know, it's almost like you have to have this progressive mind, which I don't totally agree with.
I get what you're saying, because I really hate when a game has a female protagonist, but like they have to shove it in your face, be like, a strong female protagonist goes on a wild adventure. Like, first, she's just a person, you know. We can say bull. Like, you don't have to shove in my face that she's a strong female lead, like, because then I get like annoyed and I don't want to play it anymore.
Right. Yeah. What annoys me is when I'm playing a game, and at least in these recent years now, where you have a female lead, and the people cause let's face it, there's not a lot of females in the gaming industry. These are men mostly writing these characters, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And they always seem to go out of the way to make the character weak. Very weak at first. Or they put them in precarious positions, such as be it rape, or their boyfriend cheated on them, or, you know, the list can go on from there. just weird things to make the character just not be a strong female. Instead, like Bayonetta is actually in sense very endearing in that aspect. Like she owns up to her nature and who she is. Yeah, she's sexually exploited beyond reason, but she's very strong. Like no one fucks with her kind of thing. You guys feeling what I'm saying here?
I am reaping what you're sowing. Yes.
Yeah.
And you got games like the new Tomb Raider reboot where they just learns to be strong over time.
Like it made sense in the first one where she was just this little girl, you might say. There was a couple scenes in there I could have done without. Where the guy was like, choking her against the powerful scene. Don't get me wrong.
But I do agree that it just feels too much like the devs were trying to prove she was strong by having the environments beat the shit out of her.
Yeah, we actually played the first Tomb Raider for the cast, which we'll get to later, and we just didn't see that in those games. But then again, during the mid-90s, there weren't a lot. As we found out trying to pick games for the cast, it was a lot harder to find games with a female protagonist back then.
I was having so much trouble trying to find one that was over 15 years old.
Yeah.
Or two of them, I should say.
Exactly. And so when Josh made the topic, I was very excited. I'm like, fuck, we just don't have a lot of games to choose from other than Metroid,
Alicia Dragoon.
Well, I mean, I mentioned earlier, there's a ton of RPGs out there that have a supporting cast of female characters. Take Fantasy
Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
Well, that's an
Although
anime first
Odin
of all.
Sphere is kind of an exception because you actually get to play as those characters. Plus, it's an action RPG.
To an extent, what bugs me is in games of past, it's always the male character though, and then you have a cast, and I think the game that comes to mind is Star Ocean 2. You can choose between being the female or the male character, if I have that correct. Like that's one of the differences. But then when we played like Dragon Quest V, you had the male character and he meets the girl and marries and what have you. Great game, by the way.
Spoilers.
Well, it's just a progression of the story. Spoilers. Shut up, Kevin. Kevin, what are your thoughts in depth on this subject?
I have no problem with games having female characters, but like, I don't know. Like it just, like I said before, I don't want it to be shoved down my throat. Like, okay, it's just a character that is a girl. Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, actually, when it comes to the new like Tomb Raider, I remember people were always like, "Oh, Lara's so strong in this game. She becomes like a strong, independent woman, and she learns how to be herself." I'm like, yeah, but if I was talking about Uncharted, you just be like, Nathan Drake's fucking cool. Look at this guy jumping over shit. Like, just treat it like that, Just don't like. I don't like.
Well, that's what the Tomb Raider games used to be. It was just that.
And that's fine.
She's got guns and sunglasses, and
right,
she can jump hard. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it needs to be. And like, I won't lie. Obviously, there are games that totally sexualize characters, but like I said before, there's not a lot of women in the game industry, so you have guys making these things. And what do most men tend to like? Boobs. Like, people make things that they like. That's how the world works.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. Who's buying a lot of these games?
Weird basement dwellers.
Men and young boys. Yeah, mostly. Sure. Like, that's the demographic worldwide.
Right.
I mean, let's be real here. Way more guys gravitate toward games in all aspects than women.
Right. So that's why I never feel like they're underrepresented. Just look, whatever the market is, you make stuff for that. If you want more like female characters, get your girls to play games, and then they will make more games for them.
Yeah. Well,
otherwise, you try to make it work, and then it doesn't.
I will fully admit, many of my favorite games the last few years feature a female protagonist. It's just like Hellblade and Horizon Zero Dawn. I fucking adore those two games. I love them, and to me, Horizon Zero Dawn never felt like Aloy never felt like she had to be a female.
Yeah, and that's what's great about it.
I really liked that. Plus, there were no like sets of armor or what have you that looked sexually exploitative. They all looked practical. Right.
Yeah, everything made sense. I really appreciate things like that when I see it in gaming. Yeah, I'll go back to Fatal Frame, Maiden of Blackwater every time, where I pop that game in. I gotta like Twitch stream that because it's just super fucking funny on what they did to a horror game, and you're just like, oh, it's so spooky. Oh, I tripped. Look at my panties. Oh my god. Like that's what the game became. So I'm like, I'm not scared anymore. I'm just like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Is she gonna fall?
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe when I was playing Danganronpa Ultra Despair Girls. You kind of saw a lot of that.
It's for the plot.
Right, exactly. The quote-unquote plots.
Plot.
You know, and we also can't pretend that there's always an expectation with females and how they look and are portrayed in certain media, even in reality. I mean, look at the WWE in the women there. The trend now is 20-year-olds are getting like facial reduction and lip injections hard when it used to be 30s and 40s when you were starting to let's say age.
What the hell is did you say a facial reduction?
Yeah, yes. It's like some procedure they like reducing cheekbones or.
Oh, I thought you were like, I need less face up here. Can you move my face?
I believe that's the right terminology to use, but I don't plan on getting any facial surgery, so I don't need to know the terms properly. But you get the idea. You get the idea. The Kim Kardashian type appeal and look.
Got you. Which I always find, by the way, less attractive.
I do as well. It looks fake and disgusting to me.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good on anybody when they're like, I need to make my face less human. If you can make it look like an android, that'd be great.
So female protagonists. Do we expect it to slow down in 2018, even 2019? I don't think so.
No,
yeah, me either.
I'm actually excited for a game like God of War to come out where you get an actual male character instead of a male blank slate character, because without the I think the female protagonists were so prevalent in just recent times here is because there hasn't been any male characters of interest.
Yeah.
I mean, Kratos was just this bloodthirsty mongrel, and now he seems to be, he has a purpose.
A dad.
He's a dad.
Dad of war. Gonna be great.
Now he's got to get to Valhalla properly. That kind of stuff going on.
I like how he also transcended mythology, by the way. Like, he lived in one universe, now he's like, now Norse. Like,
yeah, I'm sure he just moved. I'm sure he just moved.
Yeah, it's gonna be Japanese mythology soon.
Mythology is only prevalent to nation borders.
Yes, good. I forgot that's how gods work. They follow human borders.
Okay. Well, what do you say we move on to our main topic of interest?
Yeah, boy.
Yeah?
Boy.
All right.
Monster still have juice in there. No. I'm sad.
What do I want to use first?
You gotta pick all this time to pick a sound effect. Just pick one.
I almost thought you cut out for a second.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. What time are we at? 48. Cool. Just making my timestamps. All right, so female protagonists as our theme. And since Josh isn't here, shoot. Too bad for him, right?
Right.
Why don't we just go straight into a heavy hitter, which is the first pick. Who wants to cover that one first?
Colin.
I hate you.
You are welcome.
Yeah, the first pick is Tomb Raider, the original Tomb Raider for PS1.
And?
Yeah, I hate you.
It's not on the Saturn. Fuck off.
But it is. It was actually originally made for the Saturn.
Nobody played it on the Saturn. Get over it. Nobody cares about the Saturn.
Colin and I have played it on the Saturn.
Okay, well, that's fine.
And
you can go back to Bizarro World in Canada.
Ah.
Yeah, I used to love this game when I played it on the PC growing up. Of course, it was just the demo version, but honestly, it really hasn't aged well.
No, it's quite rough, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
One of the early attempts at a 3D platforming game. Nowadays.
Developed by Core Design, published by Eidos, released October 25th, 1996. So there you go.
Pretty much.
So if you're watching on Twitch now, I just threw up a long play of the very first Tomb Raider on the PS1. Since you guys are negative Nancy's about the Sega Saturn version, which is actually much superior than the PS1 version.
Yeah,
and that's because it was originally made for it, and the designer didn't want... I think he had a beef with PlayStation at the time, and he's like, no, I'm only making this for the Sega Saturn.
It's not about who did it first, it's about who did it better.
Well, the Sega Saturn did it better. But PlayStation took the character to the next level, that's for sure.
Because it did it better, right? Accept it. Saturn is a false god.
I don't want... I think graphically and polygonally, the game still holds up as well as any Saturn and PS1 game would. It's the controls that don't hold up.
No, they definitely don't.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
remember
how long did it take us to get used to the controls? Couple hours?
I just remember running into so many walls because just turning Lara is a real chore.
Like, Lara, come on. Shimmy. Okay, make the jump. Lara, stop hitting the invisible walls.
Sidestep.
Yeah, you're right. The controls feel like a chore from the get-go.
She would have broken her nose in real life.
I remember. Just playing that first section of the game, that first story, that first chapter. Everything is a learning experience and a trial to your patience, just dealing with the controls. Because don't get me wrong, in 1996. When you played this right then and there, this was just, graphically you were impressed. Lara was a strong female character. You wanted to go on the adventure with her. You wanted to be this badass girl with dual pistols shooting wolves and bears in a cave. It was more than just the obviously the horrible and stiff controls all the time.
Yeah, I totally get that. And the game does have its charm, like the old corny 80s 90s action movie vibe that it was going for. That that I felt succeeded.
Oh,
At least in the
absolutely.
cutscenes.
You even got that in a few of the controls they tried to add in, such as the really high back flipping and side flipping and just the dual guns all the time. Yeah, and the leaping across gaps and grabbing ledges. Yeah, it's definitely all there. What do you think, Kevin?
You get
I mean, I didn't get a whole lot of time to play this, but I dabbled in the first area a little bit. It's rough, and then I remembered I had the Wii 3 collection, and
Okay.
What's weird is even with a modern game, motion I feel like it's in the PS1.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
Well, I have the anniversary edition as well. I have it for the I believe I have it for the Xbox and the PSP because I love the first game so much, and I have it on the Saturn. And it just because the controls are bad doesn't mean it plays awful. Is how I put it.
But it's rough.
It's a rough experience. That's why the anniversary edition is such a nice experience comparatively. Because then you can play this adventure, more or less the way they probably envisioned it back then. They just couldn't because they didn't really know how to utilize a control scheme quite yet. Because it was a good 3-4 years ahead of its time.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Tomb Raider was okay.
Get to fight bears, velociraptors, a freaking T-Rex.
Oh, the T-Rex scene is insane.
Yeah.
I remember. Now I got a much different experience playing it on the Saturn as opposed to the anniversary edition. Colin, you were there when I got it. We played it together. I was like, oh, I remember this area. Where is it? Where is it? But the stiff controls actually make you feel fear in what's happening.
Yeah.
You're like, just jump. No! It's coming for me!
Yeah, really. Oh boy. That was such a crazy playthrough.
There's a shit ton of clipping, though, in the game for sure.
That 4th gen clipping. 3rd? 4th. What generation was this?
I still remember.
It's the PlayStation generation.
Still remember. Remember that cutscene with the Canadian lumberjack-looking guy with the really bad Southern accent.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's how. So the first chapter has an epic ending. You know, she's just escaped from her very first tomb. You know, you're all excited. You're like, okay, boss battle against this evil dude. He's got a gun in front of you, and what you know, he talks some shit in a terrible Southern accent. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna kick the shit out of him. It's actually just a cutscene where he basically runs straight at Laura, and she roundhouse kicks him, 80s style, and then that's it.
Drops him.
You don't actually do anything.
Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, you get out of the water, he's firing a gun at you, you just pump 4 shotgun shells into him, and then in the cutscene, all he has is a wound on his arm.
Yeah, you don't do anything. You get out, bah! It's over. If you're watching the Twitch stream right now, I just put on this random PS1 long play of Tomb Raider, and this guy's just barreling through the game. No issues. Oh yeah. I think it's because the controls are upgraded or updated.
Probably.
It looks so much easier than the experience that I had.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I go this way, then I go this way, no problem. Oh, I can just turn the camera over here. Easy. Kevin, do you think you would like this game more with everything graphically updated in control-wise?
I gotta play the reboot's nothing like these originally, right?
No.
Yeah, it's an okay game. I want to give it more time decision, but from what I played and like the dabbling I've played, it's pretty good. I need to develop time with it.
With better controls, I probably would have loved this game.
Absolutely. Well, you said you played it on the PC growing up, right?
Yeah.
PC's not a console.
I don't know. I guess I had more patience for it back then. This little kid. It's basically with how my parents were with my playing of video games. I was pretty much a starving man in the desert.
All right. So what do we got? Mixed reactions on it?
If you want to see a slice of video gaming history, check it out.
Wait. Oh.
All right.
What?
What?
I can't get used to this.
Oh boy.
I'm loving the reactions. I keep saying that. It's too good.
I'm gonna have nightmares.
Do. So Kevin, why don't you get us into your pick, since you only had the one?
Yeah, because you guys are jerk. Anyway, so a long time ago, on my 3DS, I saw this game release, and it was called Shantae, French, obviously. And I was like, I never heard Shantae, yes, the purple-haired warrior. And I downloaded it. I was like, oh, this is a fun little $5 like Game Boy Color Virtual Console release. I never heard of it. I go look it up online, and it's like a $200 game, and I was like, huh.
Yep,
retro
it's
collecting's real
quite
stupid.
expensive.
So, Shantae is what I would describe to people as Zelda 2 done right.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
It's like a side scroller, kind of Metroidvania-ish, like puzzle platformer. Like if you took like the Ocarina of Time mechanic, like of playing the Ocarina, and replace it with Shantae's genie hip dancing.
2002 is when it came out.
Yeah, so it came out like when the Game Boy Advance is already out.
Yeah. So it was like one of the last Game Boy Color games. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really, really good little puzzle platformer. It's just way too expensive for most people. Good thing there's emulation.
Yeah, and you used to be able to get it on your 3DS, as far as I know.
You used to what now?
On what? Sorry?
I don't think you can get it on your 3DS anymore because the Virtual Console's closed. Or is that just on the Wii?
No, it's just on the Wii.
Okay. Well, then you can still get it.
I got it onto my 3DS over the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
It is definitely a game you shouldn't miss out on. Kevin, you mentioned that it's Zelda 2 done right. I couldn't agree more with that statement.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. Like the numbers that pop up when you kill an enemy, side-scrolling, very confusing level layout. I liked everything about it.
I didn't even think it was that confusing of a game. Actually, it has this kind of Castlevania, Metroid kind of level design where instead of say, okay, how about this? Instead of say in Metroid where you get a weapon to unlock other areas, in Shantae you get transformations where she would transform into different various animals, such as a monkey to jump higher, an elephant to ram through things, and what have you. And she's a genie, so she just does a little specific dance, and that gets her into that. And at first that was actually kind of confusing to what I was supposed to do, because I just wasn't really thinking outside the box like that, or even inside the box, better yet. Yeah. This game reminded me more closer to the progression in, say, Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap, with the level designs and animal transformations to get you to the new areas. It reminded me of that exact game, just with this female character who's a genie, and she uses her hair as an attack. She whips her hair.
Back and forth, she whips her hair. Back and forth, she whips her hair. The joke was there. We all had to say it.
Obvious.
And I also did research. This was actually the last genuine game released as an 8-bit title.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before, the retro gaming scene came along and started like back making or retrograding
Axiom Verge is a retro game, so
it is not. Oh my god, it's a new game.
I will fight you. Don't do this.
It's in a retrogated retro style. This was the last pure like 8-bit made game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that pretty fascinating. I also really like the characters. Shantae's kind of got a sassy little attitude to her, and even the main enemy, the pirate that wants to, who's by the way, I love the simplistic plot of the game is Risky Boots, great name by the way for the pirate enemy.
Yeah, someone who acts risky and wears boots.
Risky Boots is essentially holding the Industrial Revolution hostage because she has a steam engine, and she's gonna pillage and plunder to her heart's desire because she can go faster.
Gotta go fast.
I really quite found that more funny than I probably should have, but I really enjoyed it. It was super good. The other part I quite actually what surprised me was how well animated everything was in the game.
Yeah, I really liked that.
Like whether it was Shantae's movements, whipping of the hair, the transformations, things moving in the foreground and background.
The way she moves her sexy little hips.
Sexual. Oh well, yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. She does a little tushy thing. That's right.
She's a genie. Oh yeah.
Oh, if you're just standing still in crouch mode, you just see her wiggle her butt. I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
she wiggles her butt like a kitty cat.
It's good. It's for the plot.
But yeah, everything down to the real tight controls and movements of the characters, just so good.
Tight butt.
I really just and it's challenging too. It's not an easy game. It's quite challenging to an extent. No complaints at all with this game.
I don't know, when I was playing it, sometimes the platform could be a bit annoying because like at one point there's one stretch of green. It looks like you can stand on it, but it was part of the background. Like, come on.
Really? I don't remember having that kind of moment.
There's those lizard heads that pop out from behind the waterfalls because you couldn't tell where they were before it was too late.
Oh, yeah, I guess I can understand that. But I don't know.
Also having to push up and B in order to use like health potions. But they didn't even make it possible to use them from the pause menu and pressing A because the A button does nothing in the pause menu. What the heck?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, there's certain limitations that I guess they had to get by, but I don't know. I guess it didn't bother me too much because I just kept thinking, wow, this is a Game Boy Color game.
So, I also didn't really like how the game didn't really telegraph the insta-death pits that well, because when you're jumping down from high areas, because I lost so many lives that way.
Life's all about surprises. Thank you, Kevin.
Exactly.
I have such a problem with it if it just maybe took away a little bit of health, but an entire life? Yeah!
Other platformers do it.
Yeah, there are plenty of games that do that. Mario comes to mind.
I've heard of that guy.
You've heard of that guy?
Early 2000s.
Yeah. Has anyone played any of the other Shantaes? Are they like this?
The sequel was good. I didn't like the most recent one that came out.
Which one is that? Half Genie Hero?
Yeah, Half Genie Hero was not a fan.
The gameplay was kind of average and mediocre, but it has a really good visual style and an amazing soundtrack.
It became. I think the game went in the wrong direction with focusing on like waifu characters.
Plot.
Yeah.
Yes. Apparently, Pirate's Curse is the best Shantae game to date.
That's what I've heard too, actually.
Isn't that the third one? I think so.
There's the original. There's that weird one that only came out limited. Pirate's Curse and Half Genie.
And then Pirate's Curse.
Let's see here. Risky's Revenge was 2010, and Pirate's Curse was 2014. Okay, so yeah, that was the third one. Thank you, Wikipedia.
That's not accurate. You can edit those sources.
Oh, come on now.
You can trust me. Nobody checks it and backs it up. All my teachers said that. Yeah.
Comparing Half Genie Hero and Pirate's Curse's art styles, at least the hand-drawn art styles, I prefer Pirate's Curse. Just, it looks better. Characters pop out a little more.
Yeah, I hear you there. So, outstanding reviews from us guys?
It's pretty good.
Yes.
I give it...
Positive if I was a kid. Positive as a kid, if I had known about this and gotten a copy, I would have loved the hell out of it.
Oh yeah, I really, yeah. I wish I was one of those kids with my Game Boy back then. Be like, I want this game, but I just didn't know about it. I was young. Shame.
It accelerated my advance to puberty too. Ha!
Guys, this episode's not about sexualizing female protagonists. Boobs. Okay.
It's kind of hard not to with Shantae's character design.
I hate you.
Come at us, SJWs.
I hate you guys.
This is a progressive episode.
We're supposed to be talking about good things.
Boobs.
Refuse to lie to myself.
Yeah, way forward has a good history. But speaking of a good history, is the next game, Colin?
I see what you did here.
The next game is Mischief Makers for the Nintendo 64. And this game I have a little bit of a history with. I remember playing it at Blockbuster very briefly one night. Specifically remember it being at the Clan Ball Land stage, the opening dialogue and such. Confused by the fact I couldn't play as one of the characters that was talking at the beginning of the level. I was like, okay, who the heck is this green-haired chick? But
she's female Mega Man, that's who she is.
Gun. But yeah, 2 words. Shake, shake.
Shake, shake indeed. So this is another treasure game. Same people who made Gunstar Heroes.
Hetty, which was all covered earlier in this cast,
or
a previous episode, and Ikaruga for those who know about that one.
Yeah, Treasure is solid. I can't think of a bad Treasure game that I've played, honestly.
Gunstar Superhero.
It was published by Enix before they merged with Squaresoft, which I found interesting.
Oh, really?
Seeing the Enix logo in the startup menu.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. It's interesting to note that the main developers in Treasure originally worked for Konami, and they had worked on Contra and Castlevania back then.
Okay.
It's part of what made Gunstar Heroes so well loved.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it was the first 2D platformer on the N64.
Oh, I didn't know that.
There's another. Oh, Kirby.
Anyway. Also, apparently, in this game, the devs had very little knowledge of the inner workings of the N64, so they had a pretty harsh learning curve in the process.
Yes, and that is one of the main reasons why the game uses the D-pad of all things. Because that's all they knew how to program for. They didn't know an analog stick or anything was coming. And that also led to why the controls were so hard to get used to and not 100% responsive.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when I first booted this up, the controls just took a long time to get a handle on. But I was more or less surprised that, oh my god, a game on the N64, not Kirby, uses the D-pad?
Yeah.
WCW versus NWO Wrestling? God.
Hey, Kevin.
Shh.
You're a D-pad.
Okay, you know what? I quit. I am an analog stick, and I am proud.
You're a joystick.
Don't even go there, Colin. How dare you?
Sick burn.
Kevin, what did you think of Mischief Makers?
Didn't play it. I don't have an N64.
I thought you.
I tried. Nope. I have zero N64, and I have zero love for that system.
Why?
I think everything on it is ugly. I hate the controller, and anything I want to play on it is on something else.
Not Mischief Makers.
and that because I don't really care that much.
Oh, come on. I got addicted to this game, honestly. I had a real love-hate with the relationship with Mischief Makers.
It looks cool, I'll give it that, but I was just like, yeah, it looks like Gunstar Heroes. That's neat.
It looks like Gunstar Heroes on the N64 doesn't look any better than what Mischief Makers showed me, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I wish more N64 games looked like this instead of its textured, blocky nature that came with all the other games.
Triangle joints.
Yeah, this just looked like what Innovation would have done with a lot of other games if they didn't try. Like, imagine a Mega Man game that looked like this instead of what the monstrosity we had, or Castlevania.
Mega Man Legend.
Like, that's what came to mind, and yeah, Shake Shake, naturally.
Shake, 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 shake your booty, shake your booty.
Not a sexual podcast. God.
I thought the very first opening stages were quite irritating, because I get that it was a lot of tutorial and the controls, you know, took a lot of getting used to, with jumping on things, and I did find it funny that every tutorial was like, well, if you can't figure it out, just shake things.
Yeah.
That was its solution to everything. But I just thought the tutorial took way too long, and trying to get used to the controls and introducing the story, because there is a story there where the professor gets kidnapped, and then there's an underlying plot, and etc. etc. The opening stages I just found boring and more frustrating than anything. But once I got past all that, like once I faced that first boss fight against this dragon thing, and you know it felt like a 2.5D version of Punch Out, and using the B button to block the punches and catch the slow punch to throw it back at the enemy. I like, that was the turning point. It took 2 hours though to get to that point in the game, because there was just whether it be levels that amounted to, it felt like nothing, to levels that seemed to be just there to frustrate me, and I could never really get a handle on the jetpack thing. So I don't know if it was my controller being unresponsive or the game itself.
It's the N64.
Yeah, it was a little awkward with all the yellow C buttons for hitting the thrusters.
Yeah, I don't know if I was hitting it incorrectly at improper times, but I could never get a good handle on how the thruster system worked.
Understand that.
Yeah. What'd you think, Colin? What do you got to say about the game other than what you've already said? What'd you think of Lady Mega Man?
Awkward at first, but its way of doing things is definitely very unique.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, because you don't jump on enemies or shoot them, you throw stuff at them or throw the enemies themselves, which I can't think of another game that does that besides maybe Donkey Kong Country.
Oh yeah, I suppose so.
Super Mario 2.
So grab onto stuff. And...
No one's heard of Mario, Kevin. We've been over this.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, I like the whole 2.5D aesthetic. Like, the first boss fight that I can remember is like that rolling worm, which is easiest boss fight ever. But
oh, I didn't even count that as a boss fight, honestly.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I got as far as you did, but that's just because I didn't have a lot of time available to me. But
the most annoying enemy I came across, at least in terms of the start of the game, was this bee boss battle. It's just this giant bee type enemy, and you it'll try to sting you with the stinger. get you with its stinger, and what happens is a reticle will come up during these battles to show where you can grab it and shake it accordingly, or throw it in certain directions. Well, you grab the bee, and if you shake it, jewels will come out, and that's kind of your health bar system in this game, are the jewels and what have you. But the bee will throw you off into lava because you're just battling on this small platform. So then you're like, okay, I don't do that. How about I try to throw it off into the lava? Well, you don't throw it more than like 2 inches, or it doesn't give you enough time to kind of power up the throw. You're like, okay, maybe I just got to throw it up against the ground. So you do that, but there's no indication on these on these fights, especially that one, that you're actually doing damage, and I had a real issue with that.
I can understand that.
So,
yeah, I find enough good with it, or enough that's enticing about it, that I will probably keep playing this game after this podcast, all the way to the end.
Oh, I'm there with you. It's the good outweighs the bad in this case, is what I say.
Just no other game quite like it that I can think of.
No, I can't either. It's in that realm of third-party N64 games that get overlooked, but people regard as being pretty good. I mean, we've covered Jet Force Gemini, even though Josh and I were just like, the controls were atrocious.
Good game.
We just couldn't get over that fact.
It's a good game.
So,
Say about it.
Yeah. Why don't we move on to the next one then?
It's good to me.
All right. So my first pick,
I need
guys.
more monster. Your fear effect, yo.
Yo, yes. My first pick was a PS1 game called Fear Effect.
Hot lesbian action, man.
Whoa, buddy. You calm your tits.
I can't. This is all about strong, empowering women.
Funny enough, this game is being remade, coming out later this year for the Nintendo Switch. The first 2, actually, I believe. Not just the first one. Comes out, and they actually released a third game in the series.
They did? When?
Never heard about that.
It was on the Switch. It came out like last month.
What?
It's called Fear Effect Sedna.
It did?
Yeah.
Only on Switch?
I think it also came out on PS4.
Interesting.
Yeah. To continue on, Fear Effect is a very interesting game. It's an adventure that wants to be horror, but not quite.
Yeah. I'd say it's closer to suspense.
Yeah. It has tank controls, and I don't know why.
Because that's the only way they know to do it.
I don't know why this game has tank controls. I think I would have loved this game more if the tank controls didn't exist.
Agree.
The other thing that this game had at the time was everything's cell shaded graphics. So I mark out hard with games in cell shading techniques, and this game was no exception.
Oh, look at that! It is on PS4.
Yeah, it's kind of like a strategy game more than the adventure game sequence that the first 2 have. It does the same thing that Resident Evil and like the Final Fantasies of the time did, where it would have the 2D characters on the 3D pre-rendered backgrounds. That's why you would get like the hyper-realistic fire sequences, and it wasn't actually a still screen. It took it the next step, where it was like a looping cinematic. That's why this game's on 4 discs on the PS1.
Yeah.
Because the game's only you can get through it in like 6 hours. It's not that long. If you know what you're doing, you maybe break 2.5.
For sure.
But the game has cheap areas. Like, you'll find yourself blasting through a section, then you'll turn a corner, and then you'll just die immediately. For various cheap reasons. You'll definitely... I found myself running into issues with, like, not knowing what to pick up at certain areas because just the graphical limitations of the time. Like, things would blend in with the background unintentionally.
Yeah, I had that problem too.
What was some other thing? Now more the fun aspects. I love the callbacks to, like, certain movies, like Blade Runner. Like, the whole opening sequence was like, oh, this is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Like, straight from the movie with the city panning and the futuristic and the hover cars and all of that. And then the rest of the game seems to take elements straight out of the movie The Matrix. The one that stood out the most was the helicopter scene where it's attacking and you got your two agents, like, fighting back in a building. So a lot of not bad movies to make callbacks to, that's for sure, or take elements from.
Really?
Didn't this come out before The Matrix?
No, this game came out in 2001, I believe, or 2000.
Really?
I think The Matrix was what, 99?
I didn't know that.
Movie The Matrix. The Matrix came out in 99. There you go.
Look at that.
So, the main female protagonist in this game, you're actually 3 protagonist characters, so they're all kind of equal. And the main female in this one is actually a lesbian, which was breakthrough. It was revolutionary at the time. I can't even say another game where the character is a lesbian besides this one. Maybe the closest thing is Life is Strange.
Beyond Two Souls, Ellen Page.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was she?
Well, I don't know. She is in real life. That's all I know.
She is in real life. That doesn't mean the video game character was.
I didn't say it was a good guess.
Yeah. For the record, her character was not a lesbian.
Fine.
Yeah. So Fear Effect, the girl is Hana, who is totally not Major from Ghost in the Shell. There's just so many funny things that for a person of male audience would just love, such as all right, here's a question I'll throw on you guys. I wrote this down. What is hotter than a naked chick in a bath towel running around a zombie village?
Oh, I know.
Okay, Kevin, what is it?
2 naked chicks.
No.
Oh, damn.
The answer is what you find later in the game. Now you got the same character now in a bikini that's in a brothel holding a machine gun.
Video games are art, man.
Speaking of art, there is a very artistic sequence in this game that's very famous where our girl Hana here distracts an enemy combatant by taking her towel off and showing her boobs so her comrade can sneak up behind and snap his neck like Steven Seagal.
This is wonderful.
Wow.
Video games, man, they're all about art.
Fun fact.
Okay.
Hana's voice actress is Wendy Lee, who, among several other things, did the English voices for Dokuro-chan and Haruhi Suzumiya.
I don't know what any of those words mean.
Animus.
Gotcha.
Glad to help.
Just trying to fit in here.
Yeah. So the game has a lot of just kooky and quirkiness to it.
Cocoa Puffs.
I didn't find too much wrong with it. It's more or less what I expected of the time. I didn't expect it to be this good at what it was doing, and yet also very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And the story was very engaging right up until the end, where it becomes very, well, you fight the devil in hell. So you go from, like, Blade Runner town and then Zombie Village to fighting Satan in hell.
Hi, Doom.
Yeah, Yeah.
So essentially, best game ever, 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, I liked all the characters. I liked the cutscenes. The story was engaging right up until the end. If this game didn't have the tank controls, I would recommend it so much more.
To borrow a quote from Yahtzee, the tank controls are shampoo drinkingly awful.
Shampoo drinkingly awful. I don't use that one.
Tank controls have a place in horror games like Resident Evil and Dino Crisis.
An unwelcome place.
It doesn't belong in a, like, the game says it's a horror game, but it doesn't. This game doesn't feel horror enough, especially when you got a chick running around a village in a bath towel, distracting guards with her boobs.
Maybe I'm scared that she's gonna get hypothermia.
This is like, if when the game's remade, I really hope it does like the Resident Evil type thing where you have the option to not have the tank controls and just have regular ones. Because then I'd be all over this game. I'd play it through one more time. I really would.
It was trying to keep a little bit of Resident Evil with like the fixed camera angles, the up down like shooting perspective at points. Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
So awkward. I would have loved it a lot more.
So, did I
really
write
like
anything else about the game? I don't think so.
Track, especially the opening theme. Though I feel like there should have been some more high intensity music in the first level when you've got like the other soldier dude trying to get away from helicopters that are trying to mow him down. It just keeps playing the same sort of suspenseful, atmospheric music that was when you were sneaking around as Hana, rather than like some high-intensity stuff that would have fit better.
Yeah, if you're watching the Twitch stream now, I just turned up the music on the long play, so you can get an idea for what Colin's saying by it's just this ambient, atmospheric noise all the time. So
I really appreciated the fact that once you're done with like a non-weapon item, like say a key card or your cell phone, which you use for saving your game at points,
right?
The game will automatically switch back to the weapon you were using before switching to that non-weapon, which I feel you didn't see nearly enough of from games at the time.
True facts. Well, it gets a passing grade for me, but God, I wish the tank controls weren't there. That's my final thought.
I like it in small doses.
Kevin, what did you think of this game?
Resident Evil meets Pulp Fiction.
It's quite the comparison. Well,
it was an okay game. I mean, am I gonna really play through the whole thing? I'm not in a rush to. I kind of want to see what happens in Fear Effect 2. So I guess I have to now, don't I?
Yeah, and then you can play Sedna on your Switch.
Yeah. Wait, is it more expensive on Switch than it is in PSN?
I think it's the same price.
Then
although PlayStation has a flash sale going on right now, so maybe it's on sale.
It's only horror games right now.
Oh.
Which we've accepted that this is not.
Well, I mean, it is technically a horror game, even though I disagree with that.
They can be wrong. Let's see. I'll look how much it is on Switch, and we'll see now.
Well, all right. Our next game, Colin, why don't you take that one, since that was one of Josh's picks, I believe.
This game is Perfect Dark for the N64. So another N64 game here.
Are we gonna start that again?
I'd rather play Perfect Dark Zero.
Yeah, this is another Rareware game from the late 90s, early 2000s, built from the same first-person shooter engine as GoldenEye.
No kidding.
Clunky, but it does allow co-op play, which I thought was pretty cool at the
2000.
time. I can tell it was pretty revolutionary for the time, but probably hasn't really aged that well comparatively. Although I can tell it was pretty technologically advanced for its time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely plays like GoldenEye and Siphon Filter mixed, but better.
Oh, and hey folks, guess what time it is? It's time for another patented Colin life story. Woo!
Who said you could also have drops?
I did.
I was gonna say, Zach, when did you tell him to cue that up? That was like...
the microphone. Yeah. As a kid, I had very limited access to N64s, so I never really got to play the N64 version of this game back then. But there did exist a Game Boy Color version.
Okay. That sounds horrible already.
Yeah, I found out about its existence from a TV commercial for it, where you see Joanna Dark, the main character. She's running across this giant Game Boy Color and shooting at helicopters, and then ducking behind the D-pad and blowing one up.
You're a
D-pad.
D-pad.
Then the A and B. You're a joystick. Shut up.
Go on.
The A and B buttons rose up like elevators to unleash all these hordes of soldiers. And then you see Joanna diving into one of the holes of the front speaker. And then ending with a bit of in-game footage of one of the sniping sections. And at the time, basically, me and my brother were sold. Both had Game Boy Colors. So we combined our allowances, bought the game, and put a ton of hours into it. The thing, color version is very, very different from the N64 version.
You don't say.
Especially Joanna herself. Her hairstyle and face is completely different in the Game Boy Color version because she looks more like a late 30s, early 40s lady as opposed to mid-20s in the N64 version.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the game itself, it plays a lot more like an old NES Metal Gear game than a shooter, like a run and gun shooter. Although it's not as dumb as the original NES Metal Gear could be.
Well, all right. You're right. You're right about that. That's for sure. Another game we covered on a past podcast.
Yeah. For a Game Boy Color game, it was pretty advanced. Like, it actually has like a built-in rumble feature into the cartridge, which is pretty cool. And in the game, it has actual voiceover dialogue, which you didn't see in Game Boy games at the time for bursts.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect Dark in name only, because it could be pretty stupid at times. At one point, there's a boss fight with a guy in the N64 version who throws shurikens. Despite Joanna having had guns on her beforehand, the game forces you to use shurikens too.
I mean, I'd rather fight with shurikens than a gun any day.
All that pops in my head in that moment is the South Park episode.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Let's fight in love.
Let's fight in love. I love it.
Well, before the podcast, I'd only had experience in this game playing the multiplayer with friends and getting super mad because they were really good at this game, and I was really bad because I only had a PlayStation. So the only time I got to play Perfect Dark was with them. So they just schooled me all day, and I never got better. So multiplayer sucks. And they're all like, no, I was like, can I play GoldenEye? At least all the other friends I have also have that game, and I can at least kill you once or twice. No, we're playing Perfect Dark. It's better. Okay, so got to play the story mode for the podcast now, and as you can tell by my my messages, I was like, am I really bad at this game, or is the game hard?
Yeah.
So guys, please answer that for me.
Game is unfair.
Okay, good.
At least on like special agent and perfect agent difficulties.
No, I'm talking like normal difficulty.
Yeah. Agent difficulty I found a little too easy, actually.
All right, well, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Special agent difficulty could be really hard. Like Mission 3, especially on special agent, that actually makes you shoot down a helicopter, which you didn't have to do in regular agent difficulty. And since you have to deal with like a whole horde of bodyguards at one point.
See, I felt the game had no goddamn balance because every level kind of felt, here's a corridor, go down, shoot the dudes. And not a single, like, there was no consistency to it. You go down one corridor, there'd be like 2 dudes, and they wouldn't fire at you. They would just kind of stare at you blankly. Then you would turn the corner, and there'd be 7 dudes all firing at you at once.
Yeah, that's weird.
You know, I came across that so many times. It just felt so unfair and unbalanced. I did find it funny that there was full voice acting in the game, but no lip movement. So clearly the future is mental communication. Obviously. Thank you, N64.
Tomb Raider had the same thing.
No. Nuh-uh. Maybe I didn't notice. I was looking at Lara Croft's boobs the whole time and her triangles. I was looking at those hot triangles. Right. I did notice when I was playing this that besides the main villain, a lot of the henchmen or henchwomen were female.
Yeah.
Yeah. I found that kind of because a lot of games won't do that. Like in The Last of Us, you remember a lot of the just taking that as an example, a lot of the be it military dudes or even the clickers, they weren't women or children. They were just always dudes. So I found that pretty cool in Perfect Dark way back then. That maybe it's because you're also a woman and it's okay if a woman mows down a bunch of henchwomens.
I remember the commercial saying, "Sometimes the only one man enough for the mission is a woman."
Oh God! So even the commercials were misogynistic, sort of.
Much.
Yeah, they were in the 90s, different times.
Everything was fine then.
I thought the strafing mechanic was actually very good. But the aiming reticle was just... I was just so 50-50 on it. I would be lucky if I could lock onto an enemy properly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Kevin, thoughts? You've been awfully quiet.
I was letting you guys do your thing.
Oh, thank you for letting us.
Oh, fuck you too. I played a shitload of this. I kept getting stuck on the mission where I think you had to steal a scientist's jacket. I don't know if you guys got this where you had to steal a scientist's jacket, but it doesn't specify which specific scientist. Then you had to go in some room and hit a computer, but the level layout was so bad I kept getting lost, and then apparently there was a timer, and then I died, and I was like, you know what? I had enough of this game. So I got to the 3rd or 4th mission, but it's an overall better game than GoldenEye for sure. Especially in the multiplayer, because you can play bots. I said it. GoldenEye's overrated.
That does automatically make it better than GoldenEye.
Yeah, just for local play alone, really.
The 2 missions that stood out to me the most, I actually got up to level 5, mission 5. But mission 4 was it's Agent Dark in leather pants and a leather vest. So hell yeah. More Blade Runner references I noticed hard. with the Overcity and the hover car, and so it's two games now.
Blade Runner in this.
Yeah, I'm noticing Blade Runner requires a female protagonist in their video game. And then mission 5 just got so ridiculous. That's the Area 51 mission.
Yeah, there's aliens in this game too.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess there's aliens all of a sudden. I don't understand what's going on with the story anymore. You do hop on a hover vehicle of all things and kick a lot of ass, so that was fun. So I was like, oh, okay, I wonder where Halo got its idea from.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Unless they were both in development at the same time, which is very possible. The thing to definitely take out of this game is there are no health packs to pick up in the entire game. No regenerating health. All you can do is hope and pray you find an armor pack.
Just like GoldenEye.
Yeah, that was my problem in Mission 3 on Special Agent difficulty.
God, that alone, like the no health pack pickup alone, makes this game unfair.
Yeah.
I can't handle it. I can deal with games not having regen health. I mean, shit, we had a whole first-person shooter podcast episode in the past. No problem there. But most of those games had goddamn health pickups. Doom has health pickups. Not Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark says, no, hold my beer. You gotta get good. God. Frustrating. Fun game, though, I suppose. One of the better first-person shooters I've played ever. I would say.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's an okay game again.
Yeah, it's okay game.
It's not wonderful, but I'm in.
So, yeah. Any final thoughts on the games, or no? On that game?
Better on 360. Hey.
And why is that?
Cause
Revamped
controller.
controls? Cause controller?
Yup.
And possibly a better frame rate in that one too, because I noticed in this one, frame rate tends to dip fairly frequently.
Yeah, when they're the number is 6, by the way.
You also
6 agents on the screen cause it to slow down.
you also need the expansion pack to play half the game, by the way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
but I have the expansion pack.
You need it for like 4-player multiplayer.
I thought you couldn't play the campaign with it. It's one of those.
Oh, well, maybe it's in the wiki.
Dun dun dun. It's one of those things. Yeah, the game's like half useless with expansion pack. Cause fuck you, Nintendo. Remember the time that Rare couldn't figure out why Donkey Kong 60 didn't expansion pack? That was fun. They literally couldn't figure out the reason, so they just said, "Fuck it, everyone gets one."
A Nintendo 64 expansion pack is required to access the game's single-player mode and most multiplayer features.
So the game's worthless without it. Got it.
There you go. Well, why don't we get on to Colin's second pick?
Ooh.
My second pick is Blood Rain for the PS2.
Or the GameCube.
Or the Xbox.
Exactly.
It's basically if Blade was a woman.
That is a good way to put it, sure. Yeah.
With most of a vampire's strengths and very few of their weaknesses, but still needs to feed on blood. And water hurts her.
Yep, it's fucking stupid. Makes the very first level in Louisiana a pain in the ass.
That's how most vampires work. Water, the thing most things need to survive. It hurts people.
What makes up 70% of your blood.
But when you have the entire first level be a fucking swamp, it's irritating as shit.
Look, your plot holes
especially
are
when you're trying
here.
to jump from gravestone to gravestone.
God. Little island patch to island patch.
in the butt.
All right. Well, it was made by a developer I've never heard of. It's Terminal Reality. And the game came out in October 2002, so it barely makes the cut.
Well, look, some games were just newer, JD. You have to accept
What the hell else did this company make? Anything?
Blood Rain 2.
They did.
I thought you were going to say, no, they didn't. I was going to be like, well, fuck me. They did make this.
Oh, God. Nothing of note, really.
Perfect.
They made the Neon Flux game.
The what?
Neon Flux?
Yeah, and then they would port a bunch of fighters.
So a successful developer.
No.
I bet they make mobile games now.
Now, my experience is, as I found out playing this, I had played Blood Rain 2 in my youth, and I really enjoyed it. Then I played Blood Rain 1. Yeah.
And you did not.
I did not enjoy this game.
That sucks.
This game sucks. It has...
Hey.
Colin, I'm sorry, but this game has one of the most boring opening sequences to a game I have played in a long-ass time. I did not get out of Louisiana.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that far either, but that was more for time purposes than anything else.
I spent an hour just wandering around this swampland, fighting dumb, stupid, orange, big-ass spider things for no reason. Did not care what this nun had to say at all at the beginning. It just felt like this huge tutorial area with no direction. Yeah. The animations were awful. The controls felt too fast and yet also stiff.
And too furious.
They were too fast and too furious for me, absolutely.
Tokyo Drift.
I will admit the leaping move she does to like suck blood out of things was pretty cool, but very exploitable. But yeah,
you can still fire your gun from that position.
Oh, I didn't know that. I never tried. The empty graveyard in Louisiana, just super boring. I was like, I don't want to play this game anymore. At all. So I went and tried Perfect Dark for a second time and got a couple more missions out of the way. That's what ended up happening there.
I read that it gets a lot more exciting after the Louisiana mission, but...
What a horrible way to start a game. I had no interest. Now, the second game, which we didn't cover, but I did play the opening sequence there just to compare. Holy crap! What better? There's this cool little cinematic of our character Rain here. Just she's in a sexy ass dress going into this like political spectrum, and she gets her swords back. She's like, time to go to work, and then she just starts killing things. Like, awesome. None of that was here in the first one.
That sucks.
Yeah, just floaty controls and stiff also, and two response. I don't know. It was fun. The controls are weird. I don't know what to make of it. Like Tomb Raider was better, and that was 4 years prior.
These controls I felt were a lot closer to modern games than a lot of the rest of the games we played. Like you actually get to control the camera with the right analog stick, which I was immensely grateful for.
Didn't matter much to me. I guess just because I expect it, and if the game doesn't have it, I'm like, okay, I guess it was before its time. I look at it differently. Kevin, Blood Rain, what you got?
I got about as far as you in Louisiana.
So you hated it too?
I didn't get past there.
It's not that I hated it. I was just like, I played it this morning. I was like, look, time I have to. I got it. It seems like a game that could have done better with a little more time put into it, but yeah, no. I do want to try Blood Rain Betrayal though, which is different, but I want it.
I'm not familiar with that one, but I would say play the second one and skip this one. That's my advice.
Betrayal's a 2D beat 'em up on PS3.
Nazi vampires.
Yeah, Nazi zombies, vampires, whatever, same thing.
Vampires are much different from zombies.
Or are they?
Colin, do you have like positive thoughts about the game at all, or since this was your pick?
It's kind of middling for me. I mean, I never played it before this podcast. I mainly picked it because it was a game with a female protagonist that was over 15 years old.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Blood Rain does come to mind of this era when you say female protagonist, I would say.
I mean, heck, apparently Rain herself was the very first video game character to be a Playboy magazine centerfold.
What?
Okay.
Not Lara Croft?
Apparently.
Yeah, there's some things that I didn't need to learn.
Wow.
That's a thing that happened. Why?
I think if we had it in us to play more of the game, we'd have more to say, but I honestly just could not find it in me to play more than an hour.
I remember going through the first section of the game. It's like, what was up with the NPCs' accents? We're close to Cajun. I mean, heck, it sounded like they were trying to go between Cajun and French, which makes no sense to me.
Well, that's Louisiana.
Never been, so I don't know.
Yeah, I used to live in Louisiana. It's called Coonass. Louisiana, Cajun is this like weird ass Southern French thing going on. So at least the spirit is correct there, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have anything else to really say about it.
I play a little more what the Nazi vampire sections are like.
Okay.
You seen the Uwe Boll movie based off of this?
No, I haven't.
I haven't either, but I saw the Nostalgia Critic review for it, and it was pretty hilariously bad.
Yeah, I imagine it's not good. Especially if the game's not good. I wonder what the game got for reviews. Let me look.
It got like average-ish reviews, like
7 out of 10s.
Yeah, I've seen 6s and 7s, and they're like,
oh, gross.
That's okay.
No, the GameCube version got like a 67%. PS2 was 68. Yeah, it's about what I expected.
It's all right.
That doesn't seem all right to me.
Look, you passed your test with a 68.
No, not in video game land.
Well, that's because video game people are a little too entitled. You passed. D's get degrees. D's get degrees. D's get degrees.
All right. So why don't we move on to the last game then? Which is my second pick. Another super expensive game, kind of like Shantae.
Just remember that JD's like, no PC games because they're too obscure, but, fucking Magical Chase. Everyone's got that lying around.
We spent $1,400 just for this podcast. Nobody? Just me? Damn it!
$300? Ooh.
No. You didn't want to spend $1,400 plus another $100 for a PC engine?
Absolutely. I had just had that lying around, took it out of my engagement ring fund. I was like, you know what? I got a podcast.
I'm not gonna lie. I have a reproduction cart of Magical Chase for my PC engine.
That's probably the way to go.
There's no way I have no problem at all with doing that.
Same here.
Okay, I'll put
So
on
how
Magical
was it?
Gaze. Magical Gaze. Magical Chase is probably the most relaxing shooter that I've played. It came out in 1991, North America 1993. For TurboGrafx 16/PC Engine, developed by Quest. Not familiar with them really at all. And you know what? I'll just click on it right fast. They made Ogre Battle and Tactics Ogre. Those games.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanna-
Never heard of them.
Oh yeah. There's like homages to Magical Chase in those games. Yeah. Like a lot of the witches and wizards like will have similar powers and what have you.
They were like, you can't
Yeah.
afford Magical Chase, so here's this.
So our main female here is Ripple. She is a cute little witch. She rides on a cute little broom and she fires cute little things and hits cute little enemies. It's a cute 'em up. I don't know if you were gathering that by the way I was describing it.
Sounds like a game for pussies.
I hate you so much today.
Let's play a real game.
So yeah, you're Ripple on a broom, and she has what's called Star Maidens. So in terms of say a side-scrolling shooter, it's your options. Found in say the Gradius type games. You get your various upgrades. Every cute little enemy you shoot will drop, pellets or what have you, and you collect them, and that's how you get your other upgrades and currency. A little currency shop. A shop will come up, and there's basically Pumpkinhead inside, getting to sell you various things, health upgrades, or extra hearts, or what have you. So that in that sense, it reminded me a lot of what's that side-scrolling? The character's Opa.
Fantasy Zone.
Fantasy Zone. It reminded me a lot in the same sense of Fantasy Zone, the way those mechanics worked. You have up to 9 weapons, which I thought was kind of cool because usually you only get about 3 or 4. In a lot, especially back in '91, the Star Maidens only get 2, so you just switch between the 2. You can use the little maidens and the stars as like a type of shield as well, so you can kind of block things using it so they don't attack you soon. You have infinite continues in the game, as far as I could tell, which was nice. But if you die, you only go back to the beginning of the stage. So in terms of a shooter, it's very forgiving and a lot easier than a lot of the one. It's not going to be like a Gradius or a Thunder Force, so to say, where it's you die 3 times and you have to start the whole fucking thing over again.
Yeah.
I loved how unique a lot of the character designs and enemy designs were. Ripple's very, she's got a good design herself, marketable. The levels had a lot to be desired. They were more or less plain, but the use of colors kind of made up for that, for its limitations. Yeah. It was very PC Engine-esque of the what it did. I was able to play half the game on the easiest difficulty, though, because, well, even though it's a much easier game, I'm still very much shit at side-scrolling shooters. So, thoughts, guys?
When I played it, I noticed in the easiest difficulty, the game only let you go so far.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. If you play it on the easiest difficulty level, you can only play half the game. So you have to get good so you can play the rest.
The higher difficulties let you go further.
Yeah. So when I got to that point on easy, I would play on normal, but I wasn't good enough to get past the halfway point in the game. That same point. I was like, shit.
Oh boy. But yeah, it's fun on the breeze and bumpy difficulties, which are basically easy and medium, but God help you if you try rough.
Oh yeah, you're done. I don't have a chance. Couldn't even get past the first level.
Ooh,
Kevin, how familiar are you with Magical Chase or even cute 'em up or the cute 'em up genre?
Very many. I haven't even played that many Kirby games. But like you, I'm not very good at side-scrolling shooters, but that's a genre I really enjoy despite being crap at them. And yeah, you mentioned a bunch of stuff separates it from like Gradius and such. maidens. It's kind of a unique game mechanic where, depending on what direction you move the character on the screen, like if you move them backward, they start shooting forward. Move upward, they shoot down. So on.
Yeah.
Can either be a fun challenge or an exercise in frustration, depending on your play style. And for me, it was more of a fun challenge, at least on the lower difficulties.
Right. Kevin?
Enjoyed the vision.
Kevin, you still there? Did we
I'm
lose
still
him?
here. I'm here. I was just listening.
So what are your thoughts of Magical Jace?
It was an interesting little shooter, but the more I played it, the more I was so focused on like, why the fuck is it so expensive? Like, it's pretty average. I didn't think it was that great where it deserves a 4-digit price tag. But I was like, yeah, it's okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't say it's worth it, honestly.
I wouldn't say it's worth the price tag on it. I think it's worth playing, though.
It's worth playing. It's worth playing, but, emulate it. Don't waste time trying to fucking hunt this down,
Yeah, this is one game where I'll be like, just get a repro cart if you must have a physical copy.
Yeah.
Like, there's no sense in spending that kind of money on a single game, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's go emulate it.
Visually, what'd you think, Colin?
Nice bright color, cartoony atmosphere, good background parallaxing, and like you said, creative enemy design, although some of the enemies were direct rip-offs of enemies from Mario, like the blue boos with the yellow bows, or the bullet bills, kamikaze dong guns.
Yeah, it's different.
Super different. Like, oh my god.
And
oh yeah, I'm just looking at the boos with bows right now in the video I got going in the Twitch.
Yeah, and heck, the entire third stage is direct rip-off of the airship levels from Mario 3.
I wouldn't call it a direct rip-off, but it's definitely like the most unique level in the game, which is kind of funny since it's definitely taking... No, didn't this come out before Mario 3? No, it didn't. Mario 3 was still the 80s. You're right. Ooh.
Ah.
Yeah, that just occurred to me. So,
after each boss fight, they'd given main character some kind of victory pose. But it would have been like a nice little cherry on top of everything.
Okay. There was a Game Boy port that came out later. More or less the same game, and it's I think it's as expensive as Shantae, actually.
I thought it wasn't in the US.
What, the Game Boy game?
Yeah, was it released in the US?
I think it was.
Ooh. Time for research.
That's for another time, though.
Nah, I'm looking it up right now. Don't tell me I live.
Yeah, it came out in 2000.
Recommended if you just won the lottery and are looking for stuff to blow your cash on.
So, what was that does it for our 7 games of female protagonists. So I'm going to ask you 2 questions. What was your, or I guess 3 questions technically. Your favorite game, your least favorite game, and your favorite female protagonist of the cast.
Ooh.
Colin.
I think for me, you guys are probably going to hate me for this, but I think my favorite was Perfect Dark. Just liked it the most, I found. It felt the most solid to me. I mean, Fear Effect would have been my favorite if not for the horrible controls.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As it stands. Favorite... have to go with I guess. Just felt the least memorable.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't get to what were supposed to be the exciting bits, but I guess I'll find out in time.
I suppose. Kevin?
Favorite Shantae.
Nice.
The game is real good. It's like I said, Zelda 2, but they did it right. And well, I guess I would call her my favorite protagonist on this level too.
Okay. You can do that.
And least favorite. I'd want to say Blood Rain, but I don't know. If I feel like I put more time to it, it could be better. But for now, bottom of the list.
Ooh. Colin, you said Blood Rain, correct?
Yes, I did.
Ooh, well, we got a trifecta yet again for the second straight cast of the Pooper Award.
Yeah, 3 ways.
I hated Blood Rain. That game can suck it.
Oh, wow. Okay. Sir. You're getting very violent, sir.
My favorite game would have had to be Shantae, for sure. I'm with you, Kevin. Yeah, it's just rock solid game through and through. Colin mentioned some of its shortcomings, but honestly, they didn't bother me one iota. My favorite protagonist, it's got to be Lara Croft all day.
That's the way I like to hear it.
All day. I'll take those triangle boobies. Never go. Where was that cheat? Where was that cheat code to make her naked? I swear it exists.
By the way, speaking of cheat codes to make people naked, so I did some research on the Blood Rain thing you guys looked up.
Okay.
Turns out there is a nude patch for the Windows release.
Of Blood Rain 2 or the first one?
Yes.
Both of them?
Oh yeah.
It's me. It's a very fetish-tastic game as it stands.
Hey, that game is about art.
The nun character, you see her boobs jiggling.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Look at it.
I think that does it for us, guys.
Wait. My favorite actual protagonist, I should say, is Shantae as well.
Oh,
Hell
okay.
yeah.
Wow, we pretty much all had almost round the table agreement, but yeah, Blood Rain.
We're good people.
So just like Fighter's history of the last cast, Blood Rain gets a remarkable 3-way it's shit award. Well, that does it for the Red Leaf Retrocast. This was the female protagonist, episode 19, episode 51 in total of the show. Please join us for the next episode. You can find the cast as usual: iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and many more. You can also find every episode of the cast on YouTube, especially if you want to go see the future Twitch videos of showing just gameplay and what have you of the games we talked about. That would be on Moosen Spiel in the description below. And join us for the next one. Thank you very much.
Moosen Spiel. Moosen Spiel.
All right.
Stop.
So I was watching